Hi ISV. First off, I just really want to thank you guys for first off giving me the opportunity of a lifetime to go to New Zealand last summer. It was absolutely incredible, and I have never had a better adventure than going to New Zealand with just a bunch of amazing peers. So first, thank you for that. Second, thank you also for giving me the chance to, interview for your recruiter position. I just think this is a really cool way that you guys are doing this, and I think it's pretty neat. I just figured I'd first tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Heuer. I grew up in Wisconsin, really cool state. I moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is where I just got my undergrad degree. I just graduated in May with physiology and chemistry. Science nerd. Yeah, super awesome. Besides traveling, obviously, which I love, I'm really into yoga. I love running, and I honestly just love being outside, and Minneapolis is a great place for that. Along the lines of adventure, I would love to see the rest of the U.S., maybe live a couple different places before I decide where to really stick my roots. But yeah, besides that, that's, I guess, the really thin layer of who I am, but, whatever. Alright, so I guess I'll just start by answering your questions. I'm going to do them a little out of order, just because, whatever, I'm doing it how I want, I guess. So your first one, or one of them, how do you know you're doing a good job? Well, I'm pretty sure you guys meant this by how do you think you guys are doing a good job in your actual job. But how I started to take it first is how do you think you're doing a good job just in general? And for me, I really believe in a super balanced life. If your work life is suffering, your personal life is going to suffer, your day-to-day life outside of work. And if your personal life is really suffering, it'll show up. Maybe not right at first, but it'll start to show up, in your job. And I just think the best thing for me is that when I know I'm doing a good job is I feel balanced. Physically, mentally, emotionally. But besides that, to make sure I stay balanced, I am huge at making to-do lists. I love just knocking things down, and I know this video is late, but I was having a problem with my Mac, but that doesn't really matter. I'm really big on just getting things done the minute I can. I answer emails right away. I use Todoist.com like crazy, and I make sure I'm just getting things just done and checked off, because when I let them fester and just sit there, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, things become way more, just worse, I guess. In my head, I built them up to be, like, super terrible scary. So for me, just getting them done and just knocking them down right away is really good for me. That could be work tasks, or that could just be, like, doing my laundry, or, washing my dishes, or, something like that. So for me, to make sure that to know that I'm doing a good job is all about, balance. I mean, getting praise from your superiors is really great too, but at the end of the day, sometimes we're all not going to have bosses that tell us we're doing a great job, and sometimes we're just, we can think we're doing a great job, but maybe other people aren't. And at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you're doing your work to the best of your ability. Make sure you're doing it the way you need to be doing it, but do it to the best of your ability. And that's one thing I do all the time. Actually, my job right now, I run the lifeguard side of youth programs at the University of Minnesota. So I control and run and make sure that every kid in the pool is safe during youth programs, which it's exhausting. And you have to make a lot of tough calls and a lot of tough decisions, and you have to make sure that every kid in there is safe, because at the end of the day, every single kid is my responsibility. Whether my lifeguards are out there or not, it is my responsibility. And so that was really big, and I've had some not run-ins, wow, that sounds bad, just some differing of opinions with the woman who runs youth programs, who's not technically my boss, but she has mentioned that maybe our lifeguards are too harsh. But at the end of the day, I stuck to my guns, because I know that, you'd rather have an upset kid than a dead kid. And that's one of those things where, let's have fun, but it's safety first. And I'm really good at making those extremely tough decisions, because I've had to. That's what being a lifeguard and running a lifeguard program is all about. At the end of the day, it's not about pleasing someone first. It's about actually making sure they're safe. So that's just a little backstory on when I know I'm doing a good job. Sticking to my guns, especially. When I know that something's right in my gut, I just have to do it, no matter what that means. No matter what that means, in the sense of, keeping it in line of that box. What is important to you about a job? Um, it's really funny because a lot of people, say that your college job or your high school job really isn't that important. But that's where you start to, that's where you build your blocks. That's where you learn how to work in a workforce or, work for a boss. And trust me, I've had great bosses and I've had horrible bosses. And I've learned from every single one of them. And I think the best thing is for me is, what's most important to me is that every single day I'm going to learn something. Maybe I don't learn it that day, but I'm like, oh, that's why that happened. And I just think it's really important that, my job at the pool right now is my job. And, will I do it for the rest of my life? I hope not. But right now, it's my job, and I do it to the best of my ability because I know that the skills and the tools I learned there, I'm going to take with me to whatever I end up doing. So I think also it's really important to look at, also I kind of look at this way, because this is what my dad said, is you're going to spend, every single day that you are at your job, you're spending a day of your life there. And every single time I'm upset if I'm at work or, something, I think, you know what, I need to make this the best thing possible because I'm cashing in a day of my life to be here. A day of my life to, run this pool, to be the best I can be, to make sure that everything's going right. And sometimes to make sure everything's going right is to, give guard break, give your lifeguards breaks or, things. And I'm always thinking that way, that this isn't just a job. I'm spending a day of my life here. And I think when you think about it in those terms, for me, it just changes the whole retrospect of it, and so that's why I love doing, giving my absolute all at work and my absolute all even outside of work, is because, we all think we're guaranteed these tomorrows, but we're just really not. And so, if I'm gone tomorrow, I knew I did a really good job at I did a really great job at my job today. And I think that's really important, especially since, again, like what I said, the tools that I learned at that job are the tools that I learned when I worked everywhere else. I've taken with me and I've just built upon those to make, my future jobs even better, to make me a better employee or, a better worker. I was speaking to a group of students who are interested in traveling with ISV. Oh my gosh, what benefits would I tell them they would receive from volunteering? Loaded question. Honestly, I thought I knew what I was getting into when I went to ISV. I thought I knew, what I could expect. I've been volunteering at a homeless shelter since the fall of 2008, which is when I started at school here in Minneapolis, and I didn't think this program would change me this much. I didn't think I would understand the gravity. I thought, oh yeah, I'll go build trees, I'll go do some preservation stuff, okay, cool, and then I just figured, oh, that'll be really fun, it'll be a good workout, it'll be like, I'm outside, which is just that's what drew me to, that program to start with. But I just didn't, you make a difference, you make this huge difference that you don't even realize that you're making until it's over, until you look back at this field that you've just planted all of these trees, you've cleared away all this brush, and you just are like, holy crap, we just did all that. And the thing is, it's yeah, it's hard work, but at the end of the day, you don't even really understand how hard it is. Because you're there with these friends that you've made, and you're laughing, and you're throwing mud at each other, but you're having fun. And then, you get to the end and you have the guy who runs the Preservation Society or, where we were, and just telling you, the impact that you've now had. And you sit there and you're like, oh, okay, all right, sweet. Because the thing is, we were asked to come back in 10 years to see the difference that, what we made. And I just think, I gotta start, saving up for that, but it's something I really want to do, to see that difference that we made. And I think, it changes you, doing all that work and, doing it with people that you get to meet, and just looking back and just realizing how much you've done, it just completely changes you. And I think for a lot of kids, we'd all love to just sit on a beach on a vacation and do nothing. And, in Fiji, we got to do that, and that was fun, but